it's Friday, which means time to deploy. Happy 2026. Hope you had a great break. I know that myself, Matt, and Charlotte did. They're joining me here on today's episode. How are things on your end?
Yeah, good here. Thanks, John. I had a fantastic Christmas. I hope you did as well. I think you're just back this week, right? So we're only just sort of catching up and getting back into it.
The amount of unread messages I have is off the chart. It's off the chart. I can't believe how many unread messages I have.
Yeah, yep. Mine wasn't too bad, you see, because everyone else took the same time off that I did, basically. So it wasn't too bad. But yeah, Charlotte, how about yourself?
Yeah, I mean, mine was the same as Matt, so it was nice to kind of come back to not no messages, but obviously everyone was off, so it was really good to have a break. So you're not coming back, stressed
Yeah.
with the amount of messages and Slack and everything. Yeah, it was really good. Weather was not so great around Christmas, but it's been so much better since then. So it's been really nice in Sydney. Yeah.
Yeah, for those folks who don't understand, Australia is in one of two states. I usually think it's either on fire or it's underwater. So the top end right now is completely drenched, northern Australia, and then the bottom end is actually been really hot and dry, which actually provides a bit of a segue for the first time we want to mention. So for those who aren't aware, there was a bunch of bushfires that actually ravaged the state of Victoria. These were massive, and it's an ongoing occurrence that happens a lot. So, as I said, Australia is either on fire or underwater, one of the two. I also make the joke like you get frostbite on your sunburn. But it's it's a very harsh environment, land of extremes. Unfortunately, however, it did impact a member of our community which is Lars Klint, and Lars lives in rural Victoria, and he's put up a GoFundMe page and a video of the damage and devastation that he encountered. Lars is a member of the team over at Atlassian, and we were all watching the video. I was watching it this morning. I was like, oh my God. So yeah, if you happen to know Lars or you want to help out, he's got a GoFundMe page to help him rebuild, and I know that he would greatly appreciate anything that you can help in that regard. So Lars, if you're watching, keep your chin up, bud. We're thinking about you and everyone down in Victoria, and hope the rebuild goes quickly. So there you go. Anyways, a bit of a somber start, but there you go. I just wanted to mention it first and foremost. So anyways, on terms of the news, we've had a webinar recently today. So you hosted this webinar entitled Introducing Policies, Compliance from Day One, Built into Platform Hub Map.
Yep, up bright and early this morning. Not as early as you, though, with the time zone difference. But and of course, Ships was on this one as well. So this was really cool. Ships took us through why we built policies and sort of how they play into some of the other features that we've got in Platform Hub, like process templates. And then we did a bunch of demos. I think we went through maybe 4 or 5 different scenarios of how policies can help you as a platform team set the guardrails for the application teams and the DevOps teams and the developers and everyone else in the organization to do the right thing with their deployment processes, and tie it all back to making sure that everything is then in the audit log, and it's really much simpler at compliance time to show what has been deployed to production, which policies did it adhere to, or which deployments were blocked or warned because they didn't adhere to compliance. So yeah, if you're interested in that, we went through a bunch of demos, which was really cool. And I always have fun doing stuff with Ships. So yeah, that was a great one.
Nice. You'll find a recording of that up on our YouTube page. And then next week, we have this one featuring a bunch of folks. We got folks from AWS, GitHub, ARM, as ourselves as well. This is a 4-person crew on the topic of sustainability meets velocity, the future of modern pipelines. This is talking about obviously AWS Gravitron on ARM-based machines. And we'll be talking about basically the end-to-end pipeline story involving GitHub, ARM, AWS, and of course, Octopus. And so Bob will be one of the 4 presenters there. You can sign up for this. This is going to be on January 22nd, so make sure to check that out. Charlotte, I know you're continuing to push the Future of Platform Engineering survey. How are things going on this?
So things are going well. We're kind of doing one last push before we, I guess, close the survey and start going through the results. But we would like to get another 50 to 60 respondents. That would be ideal. so please, click on the link. There's a bunch of social media posts going out. There's a bunch of Slack messages about to go out, and please just forward it on to anyone who has anything to do with platform engineering and knows anything about it. That would be great. And also chance to win an Amazon voucher. It only takes 10 minutes, and it's really important to get as many responses as we can for valid data purposes. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Great results.
A great thing to do while you're having a coffee, as everyone's circling back after the holidays to all those things that they said that they'd do in the new year.
But I don't want to delete my unread messages. Come on. I'm like dragged in there like, wait a minute. I don't want to read them all. Yeah, fill out the survey. Come on, fill out the survey. So
That's
it
right.
takes 10 minutes, as Matt rightly points out. We had a couple of blog posts that were actually published this month, believe it or not. So we had this one from Steve called "In Modern Developer Experience Has Deep Roots." And Steve is, as I like to say, Steve is a very good storyteller. He comes up with a lot of terminology and their ontology of where those terms originated from, for example, and he talks about these really edge case stories around typically UK-based engineers, etc. And so, not to shy away from that, but he's going back to his Herbert Bennington talking about his 1956 account of the Sage program, etc., and how that relates to obviously modern developer experience, etc. But Steve's not going to shy away from this, so he's a great storyteller and talks about how DevX really plays into this, and how that applies around modern DevX and platform engineering. And obviously, this cites a lot of the reports that we've done, Charlotte.
Yeah, so that's actually, I think, one of my figures that I've helped analyze. So I actually haven't read this post, so I should have, but I haven't read it. But yeah, I'll definitely read it soon. It's very relevant to what I'm looking up now.
Yep.
Yeah, platform engineering as well. Yeah.
So make sure to check that out. And we've got another post here from Revital. This is what's new in Argo CD 3.2. And as you know, we are contributors to the Argo project. And Argo CD 3.2 is now officially GA. So if you're curious about what's new, obviously UI, UX enhancements. You can see now the hydration status shown on app tiles. So you'll see that propagate here. So you can see if it's hydrated or not. You got sortable columns on the pre-application list, which is great. Improved repository connection state messages as well. So this is obviously important if you're taking a look at what the status of your connection is. So you can see it here. Sorry, it's a little bit fuzzy here, but that's okay. Some improvements around the controller performance and reliability. So obviously with the controller, etc., being able to obviously integrate through Argo if you're doing that, which is shunting to obviously tools like kubectl, etc. Application set concurrency and queuing support, better surfacing of errors. Profiling support. This is awesome. I'm a big fan of profiling support because this is obviously telling you what's happening on the internal side with your Kubernetes clusters and additional health checks as well. If you want to read more about this and everything that's gone into Argo CD 3.2, you can check out Revital's blog post. You can also check out the Argo Unpacked webinar or / podcast, and they mention it here at the bottom. But Argo Unpacked is a bi-weekly show hosted by Dan and Revital talking about all these things, and they have guests, etc. So you can check that out as well. Great stuff. The design team was recently in Byron Bay, which is in New South Wales, and this is a post up on LinkedIn from Kirsten talking about how the design team went off to Byron Bay to get inspired and talk about design and all the things that go into the Octopus product, etc. So I love little posts like this. These are great. Shows kind of the internal workings of Octopus, and of course we have to draw Octopus caricatures as part of our design offsite exercise, which is great. No one wants to see my drawing skills. I know that the octopus would probably have more or less than 8 legs and wouldn't resemble an octopus in any shape or form. So I always like it when designers get together because they're really good drawers, I find. I don't know what you guys find, but that's been my experience. Very good artistic skills.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, which I'm definitely the opposite of. My octopus would probably look like a jellyfish or a squid or some, unknown sea object.
It's an invertebrate. Okay, we all agree it has no spine. Okay, great.
That's right. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. That's awesome.
Fantastic. Cool. So we've also got some events coming up. So Jenny's been really busy on the event side. I know she's really looking forward to tackling events again. Sorry, Jenny. But this is the life of obviously coordinating these things. So we've got DevOps Live coming up in London. We've been at this. This is, I think, our third year in a row, maybe fourth actually. We've been part of this, and this will be on March 4th and 5th. We'll be at KubeCon, obviously, in Amsterdam. We've actually got some sessions there. We've got ArgoCon, we've got Costas, we've got Dan, we've got a bunch of folks doing presentation. I believe Paul's doing a presentation there, Steve's doing a presentation there, etc. We've got ArgoCon as well, which we're happy to host. We'll have a bunch of stuff around this as well. We haven't announced anything yet, but this is in March as well. And then later, and this is really exciting, we're going to be in Japan in July 29th and 30th. We're going to be in Yokohama for KubeCon, Cloud Native Con Japan, which is awesome. I think this is the one event I think a lot of people are looking forward to. Again, people are like submitting sessions and like, I want to go, because I think Japan's a bit of a hot destination, I think, for a lot of folks, especially from folks in Australia, because you just bomb it north, right? You just basically go 9.5 hours north and you're in Japan, and it's the same time zone roughly. So that's going to be a hot event, I think, this year.
Yeah, I think we attended that for the first time last year, right? And we obviously had.
Oh, that's right. I forgot. My apologies. Yes, you're right. I forgot. I didn't go. That's why I didn't remember. So there you go.
Yeah,
I want to go.
Maybe you weren't on the cards this year. Yeah, but I think we did it last year, and I heard great things from the team that did go, and from other folks that attended the event just in general as well. So it's good to see one breakout here into the sort of Asia Pacific region. As well as obviously North America and the European one there. So
yeah. Another event we've got coming up, obviously, is NDC. So NDC Sydney is a very popular event. This has been going on for about 10 years, I think, in Sydney. And I've actually spoken at this event in the past and gone to it many years in a row. And Matt, you and I and other folks are going to be there. So a bunch of us got accepted for sessions. Let's see, is this sorted alphabetically or... Where
I haven't actually looked at the author at the speaker page
there's
yet. So
me. I'm going to be. I'm going to be doing a session on AI. There's Lars. Where are you? Oh, there he is. Look at him.
Yeah.
There you go. What's your
Can't
session going to be on?
Can you? My session is going to be on ephemeral environments. So that was, new functionality that we brought into Octopus Deploy late last year.
Yes.
But I've sort of on and off, in my years in technology, ephemeral environments have come up, and I worked with customers 5, 6, 7 years ago who wanted to try and, integrate these into their build and release pipelines to have these temporary environments to test against. And I think the concept of ephemeral environments is relatively straightforward. Most people understand it when you explain it to them. The pun in the title there, easier said than spun. I think once you start to get into the nuances of what you're trying to achieve with ephemeral environments can get really tricky. And the technology that you need to set them up, manage them, tear them down, all of that sort of life cycle stuff that exists around them. I feel passionate about. There's more to unpack than just sort of what's it's about looking under the covers, I guess. So yeah, that's what the session will be on.
Yeah, I like in ephemeral environments like dandelion spores. They just kind of float away after you're done with them. So that'll be fun to see. I'll be doing a session on our AI support and product integration there. So I did this session actually at DED Brisbane. And it's basically a session talking about how we utilize AI internally at Octopus. So we utilize a bunch of ways. We utilize AI in a bunch of different ways. We have teams that are generating stuff, and they're utilizing Spec Kit from GitHub to do checks and the like for the generation of their projects. I know that Ralph Wiggum is a very popular technique in the AI circles these days. It kind of picked up steam last month and has really been part of the sort of zeitgeist of AI development these days. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about how we're approaching AI within the product itself. We'll talk about how we utilize the tooling, the good, the bad, and the ugly of everything. And so it's meant to be a very hands-on sort of FYI. This is what we're doing, etc. And we'll take a look at all those things and everything in there. So that's going to be at NDC Sydney. If you happen to be at NDC Sydney on April 22nd to the 24th, it's at the Hilton. It's a great event. Hey, there's Troy. And check it out. Maybe fly hey, there's Scott Hanselman. Come down and check it out. So there you go.
And just a last shout out on NDC Sydney. So Rob from the Octopus team also got a session accepted. Rob Perez. So his is on feature flags, but not what you might expect. Is he there on the speaker page yet?
I don't see him yet.
Okay.
Maybe
positive.
it's one of those slow loading ones. Hang on, let me just see. There he is. Yeah, on demand. So Rob's going to be doing session feature flag development in reverse. Hey,
that's right.
I like
so,
it.
yeah,
the Uno card.
That's right. Yeah. I've seen a snippet of this talk or a subset of it because he did a talk about this over at KubeCon in North America last year, which I sat in on. And it's very interesting because when you talk about feature flags, in general, people talk about feature flags for enabling new features and rolling it out and slowly introducing users to it. But as Rob says here, he kind of takes the reverse of that and says maybe you should also use feature flags when you deprecate features.
Right.
And he goes through some really cool, real world stuff that we've gone through at Octopus on things that you should consider when you're doing that, and sort of how to do it as well, because the feature could have been in the product for years at that point in time, and how do you deprecate it in a way that's not going to be destructive. So
I'm with you.
Yeah.
Very cool. Awesome stuff. All right. Well, now it is time for everyone's favorite part of the show, which is Support on Friday. All right. So for this edition of Support on Friday, we've got this question from John, who says, hey, we have a task that's stuck in a canceling state. We've tried restarting the server process, but it's still stuck. It blocks deploys for a particular environment. Oh, no. And how can we unblock the task? Do we need to update a SQL record? John then went on to go and say that when we try and delete the deployment, we get an error. And it said that the server task cannot be deleted. You have to still wait until the task has been canceled. Deleting a deployment is permanent, blah, blah, blah. There's no going back. Finian did come in and offer one possible workaround, which is the API. When in doubt, try and target the API. And so Finian writes here, this is one way in which you can do it, which is via a curl command. And so the curl command here is just basically targeting that API for the server task. You can also do this through the CLI as well. So the CLI does have the ability of actually canceling tasks. Now, if that doesn't work, unfortunately, John, it may require more hands-on help. And it might be one of those weird conditions. Like there are a bunch of questions I would have are things like, are you an HA environment? What was the task doing? Is it hung in an endless loop? When it gets into a state like this, it means that you may have written a deployment process that has a script task that may be in an endless loop, or maybe waiting for a network connection. One possible solution, I know this sounds a little bit crazy, but hear me out. So hear me out, is you can unplug the network cable. That sometimes works. If it's a hung network connection and it's just waiting and going to sleep and then waiting for a new connection, you can't get one. Sometimes if you disconnect the Ethernet, it can actually kick the call out if it works that way. I don't know. So try your best. Hopefully you'll get a solution. Let us know through support though. Support should be able to help answer this question, and let us know there. They'll probably work with you on finding out more information about the issue itself. But there you go. That was a good one. I like that one. So kind of quasi support on Friday. So there you go. Anyways. Awesome stuff. Yes. Awesome stuff. All right. So anyways, that's our show for this week. We are back, baby. And we are ready for 2026. And Charlotte's got a new mic, so that's why she sounds awesome. And you can hear everything coming from her side, which is great. Hey, no showing off. Awesome.
Really too much.
Well, that's right. Well, we are back, and we will be obviously producing episodes every week from now on. And don't forget to donate to Lars GoFundMe and also help the folks down in Victoria if you can. Lend a helping hand. Anyways, from all of us to all of you, happy deployments, everyone. Take care. We'll see you next time.